Hello everyone, my name is Feed Alligators and welcome to another video, and today I will be talking about a problem that has affected Cold War for almost the entire time it's been out, and something that I think is a really big problem when it comes to replayability, and not just leaving Cold War for Modern Warfare. But before we jump into that, make sure to subscribe to the channel to see more Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War and Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War Zombies content. Now, this is an issue that has been talked about since the game really first launched, and that is that there's not enough content and the game is becoming stale. Now, not enough content, I still think is a massive problem somehow. I don't know why they didn't just really delay this game, considering Modern Warfare is still a gold mine for Activision in terms of not only money but player count, and Warzone is still more alive than Cold War. And that's because Cold War really hasn't come up with anything fresh in a while. The game is just still very, very stale. For instance, we still only have 3 shotguns, one of which can only be unlocked by doing certain challenges or buying it, so really it's more like 2 shotguns. All the assault rifles and submachine guns are very standard stuff. There's nothing that sticks out. And unlike Modern Warfare, there's really not that much special attachments. For instance, in Modern Warfare, with the M4A1, you had 9mm rounds, and for the AK-47, you had these smaller rounds as well that could completely change how the gun would play and affect how you would use it. In this game, there is really no special attachments. They're all just bigger magazines, grips, certain sights, barrels that improve the same thing on every single gun, whether it's bullet velocity, recoil control, or damage. And they all have the same names depending on what they are. Like every single NATO gun, like the M16 and the other guns like that, all have the same name or the same named attachments. And on the other side, the Russian and Spetsnaz guns all have the same named attachments as well. I think this is a massive problem because, especially for people who make class setups like me, it just kind of gets repetitive because all my class setups use varying degrees of the same attachments depending on what it is. Like I always use the same foregrip, the barrel that improves bullet velocity, the same sight because there's really not anything else special, and other stuff like that. Along with zombies as well, I feel like has been getting very stale. I am not a fan of Outbreak. I really didn't like it. It is, in my opinion, too easy. The maps are massive and there's a ton of training space, and you can just get really, really overpowered guns and buy ammo and just constantly loop around and just get stuck in an endless loop. And not only that, even normal zombies, which I think is still very fun with D Machine and Firebase Z, there are only 2 maps, and you really can only play them a certain amount of times before you get bored. Like, I love getting into a good game of D Machine and Firebase Z and then exfilling at round 20, but after that, what do? It's like, after you play that game, you move on to something else. And normally, I don't even like Cold War multiplayer, but normally I'll move on to either like a couple games of multiplayer and then something else, or just to Modern Warfare or Minecraft, if I'm being honest. Another problem that has just plagued this game is that Modern Warfare is just better overall. Like, for Call of Duty, at least, it hasn't been as prevalent, but going further in a franchise means the game should expand and get better over time and gradually mold into a different sort of game. Like, Modern Warfare, the original one, and Modern Warfare now are 2 completely different games. And if you take older Call of Duties and newer Call of Duties, you can see that as well. But recently, with stuff like Advanced Warfare, Infinite Warfare, Black Ops 3, Black Ops 4, there really hasn't been much to shake it up, and that's a big problem because Cold War and Modern Warfare are 2 extremely similar games, except Cold War is just the worst version of Modern Warfare. The only thing Cold War has going for it is the zombies, because, let's face it, Modern Warfare outranks Cold War in replayability in multiplayer, because there's more maps. The guns, there's a lot more guns in Modern Warfare, a lot more diverse attachments, overall a better player base in my opinion. Skill-based matchmaking is way less prevalent in Modern Warfare than in Cold War, even though skill-based matchmaking in general is just terrible for the franchise and Modern Warfare itself. And that's another thing that will greatly impact the lifespan of Cold War. It's really not going to last much longer. I mean, even now, the fact that it's only been out for like half a year, and it's already starting to show that, 1, the player base is leaving, 2, a lot of people just generally hate the game, and 3, people are turning away from the franchise as a whole, just shows how terrible this game was for the company. Not only the whole franchise of Call of Duty, but Activision, Infinity Ward, and also every single other studio that has worked on this game, because really it shouldn't have been put out here in the first place, and now at this point it should have launched with as much content as they have added now, so it really in general does not have a lot of stuff. And skill-based matchmaking in general has really impacted how people view this game. I personally hate multiplayer. Like, 1 or 2 games is fine with me, but once I get past a certain number of games, it's just boring because I know I'm going to lose, I know I'm going to win, and I know which games I'm going to do better or worse at, which is the point of skill-based matchmaking, yes, but that's not the point of what Call of Duty should be. Call of Duty is meant to be a casual shooter that is just fun to sit down and play. It's not something like Valorant or any game where it's like a super competitive game. It's not Rainbow Six Siege, because that had a built-in mechanic with skill-based matchmaking, but this one they just injected into the game because they saw that it makes more money. And of course, I'm not a business analytics guy. I don't work for Activision or anything like that, but as much as they say skill-based matchmaking brings up player retention and would bring in, hypothetically, more money for the company, I feel like a lot of people have left Cold War entirely because of the fact that it has skill-based matchmaking. I mean, don't get me wrong, it still sold pretty well when it first came out, but with skill-based matchmaking, when people slowly leave instead of having a steady player base, that means you're going to lose money over time and not have a ton of money, so that in turn means Activision is going to say, hey, let's stop supporting Cold War because it's not making us as much money, and let's go back to Modern Warfare or vice versa. Because Modern Warfare, in my opinion, is the game that's more alive than Cold War. And so with that, we will conclude the video. Make sure to like and subscribe and comment what you thought of this video down below and future video ideas. I really like hearing the support of everyone who watches my videos. And as always, I will see you all next time.